welcome to this week's video. Today I finally am going to share with you the colors in this beautiful set by Schmincke Horadam. I shared this in my last video where I show you some of my latest watercolor goodies I had purchased, and this was one of them. This is a set made in collaboration with Hazel Soan, and I really love this narrow box. I think it's very unique, and I also like the color selection of the set. I think it's a very versatile set. As you can see here, I have already unwrapped my paints. I have also put a little drop of water to make it easy to swatch. So you can see here you have many yellows, reds and blues, so should be a very versatile set. I have prepared already a little swatch sheet here with all the colors, the names, the pigments, and I also gonna be doing some color charts for all the mixes, so I can share with you all of the potential mixes you can do with this little set. Today the weather has been on and off since this morning. It's been gray, sunny, rainy, sunny again, so you may hear some rain and wind in the background. I hope it won't be too disturbing during the video, but I will take it as background nature sounds. So I would suggest you grab yourself a hot beverage. I have some coffee over here, and I hope you enjoy. And if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel and you like this type of content, please consider subscribing, because it really helps the channel. It helps me bring more content to you, and I really appreciate your support. Thank you everyone that has been leaving comments. I love reading your comments, and keep them coming. So let's start now. I am very curious to see the colors on this set. I don't know all of the colors. I have tried a few of them that I really like. I like Horadam paints, and I was able to join a demonstration of Horadam the other week in a shop here in Dublin. I also was fortunate enough to win a giveaway from this same shop, so I'm gonna be sharing this in an upcoming video as well. Now I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so you can see better. So let's start. The first one we have is called Aureolin Hue, and this is PY151. I'm gonna paint mass tone over here, and then dilute it underneath. As you can see, the Horadam paints are very rich, and once you have added a bit of water to them, they will wet very easily. They're very creamy. I was curious about this yellow in particular. I don't think I had any PY151 before, and I think this is a great primary yellow. It's right in the middle between a cool and a warm yellow, so I think it's a very versatile color, and I like to have it in half pan as well, because then I can just pop it in one of my travel palettes if I want to, like the Etcher palette I shared in a previous video. I'm gonna leave a card here if you want to see that. Next we have a warmer yellow, and that is Indian yellow, which is a mix of PY110 and PY154. This is a orangish type of yellow, and this type of yellows can be great to make greens also, if you like warm greens, like olive type of greens. I forgot to mention I am currently battling a cold, so I apologize if I sound a bit nasal. I just hope I don't have to pause the video too many times to sneeze. It's the reality right now. Beautiful, this color, diluted. Next we have yellow raw ochre, and this is PY42. This is a earth tone, but you can also use it as a yellow, even though this is quite dark for an ochre. I suppose maybe for being a raw ochre. I'm not sure. I have other ochres that are a bit more yellow and lighter. But with earth tones, there's so much variation you can get from one pigment. You see PR101, for example. This has a lovely texture as well. I hope the texture remains when the paint dries. It has kind of a grainy, sandy texture. Let's continue now. We start with the reds, I think. Yes, kind of. The first one is the transparent sienna, which is indeed PR. Got confused. So let's continue. Next we have raw umber, which is a mix of PBR7 and PY43. Sorry guys, I think I got confused with my swatches. I think I just grabbed the transparent sienna. And now I am asking myself if maybe I may have swatched the raw umber instead of a yellow raw ochre. Yes, that's precisely what I did. I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna indicate so in my swatches after I finish here, but now you know why my yellow ochre looked a bit darker. It's because I took the wrong paint. That was raw umber. This is the raw yellow raw ochre, and now it makes more sense. This can be, like I said, used as another yellow. You can see diluted is a lovely tone, a bit like a Naples yellow type of color. I hope that makes sense. Now let's continue. We have the transparent sienna now, and this is PR101. It's a very lovely orangey type of sienna. I know there's some debate in the sienna, burnt sienna category between PR101 and PBR7. I quite like the PR101 version because I like this type of burnt orange color. We'll see how it dries. I hope it doesn't lose a lot of saturation. I think I have this paint already, but it's been a while I don't use it, so I don't remember how it looks when it's dry. One thing I wanted to mention about the raw umber is that this version with two pigments is the newer one. Unfortunately, they had a previous version with only PBR7. If you go to Jane Blundell website, you can see it, and it looked gorgeous. It's a pity that it's not available anymore. Even though this one looks nice as well, but the other one looked definitely more interesting. Now we have alizarin crimson, which is PR83 column 1. Unfortunately, this one is not light fast. but you can use it for sketchbook practice or any painting that you don't intend to put on the wall or sell. I oscillate between using and not using or avoiding paints that are not light fast. I'm not selling anything at the moment, but I'm easily distracted, so sometimes I prefer not to have the option of using paints that are not light fast, so I don't mistakenly using something that maybe I will give to someone and I wouldn't want it to fade with time. Some colors are more obvious, like neons, but yeah, I don't have a lot of alizarin crimson because of that. I have permanent alizarin crimson, which are versions that are more stable. I forgot to mention also the paper I'm using to swatch this. This is Clairefontaine watercolor paper. I think it's called Gold Line Aqua Pad. It's an inexpensive paper. I have a block that is almost finishing, so I want to use it for this type of exercises. The next one is Vermilion PR255, and I love this type of creamy reds. Even though I mentioned a few times in the channel, I'm not a big fan of opaque watercolors, but I make an exception for warm reds because I really like them. And I love using them in limited palettes, for example with turquoise or just blue. It gives that pop of color, and diluted is very nice, this kind of watermelon color, watermelon pink, nice for rosy cheeks. Then one of my favorites from Schmincke, it's called Ruby Red, and this is their PV19. It's a very vibrant pink. I love it. Really like Schmincke's version. You see how vibrant that is. Then we have a purple, which is called Schmincke Violet. This is PV23, which I believe is dioxazine purple. It's a great color to have in a limited palette. It's nice to have a pre-made purple, and it can also be used to mix other nice colors. We will see here when we do the color chart, but I already know that this mixed with yellow gives a very interesting ochre. Mustardy type of color. I don't know about you guys, but I love doing color mixing charts. I find it so relaxing, and I love seeing how the colors mix between themselves. Sometimes you get to discover some unusual mix that you end up loving just by doing this exercise. Every time I get a new watercolor palette, I always try to do a mixing chart. Then we have the classic Ultramarine Finest PB29. This is good for those of you that are not into granulation, or you want to paint something that you want to have smooth coverage. Schmincke's PB29 is not as textural as other versions of ultramarine. I love granulation, but this is beautiful as well. I think it's particularly good for things like portraits, for example, where you don't want to add texture. Very nice diluted, this kind of powdery blue. Almost finishing, we have Prussian blue, which is a color that I also tend to avoid, even though I love some of my paints that have PB27 in them. But because I always associate this color with the fact that it changes in sunlight and then it comes back if you put it in a dark drawer, for example. So I don't know, it's it's funny because, like I said, I'm not selling anything at the moment, but I tend to be a bit wary of colors that are famous for changing. But this color is beautiful for painting things like water, for example. It's a kind of a green leaning blue. Even though, to be honest, if you paint something natural with this color, like a river, for example, or the sea, even if it changes color under the sunlight, it's not gonna be a major thing because it will still look natural in a sense. It's just something to keep in mind if you are if you intend to sell your work. The last one I'm swatching here is called Cobalt Azure, and this is PB35. This is a granulating blue, more of a sky blue in my opinion, and this is one of the most expensive pigments that Schmincke has. I remember that when I was buying the single pigments of the super granulating mixes, this one in particular I bought only a half pan because it was so pricey. I think it was on the Series 4. So I was surprised to see it here on this set, and it will for sure give some very nice granulating mixes. I can hear the ice cream truck from here. I don't know if you can hear that in the video, but if you do, that's what it is. A mix of ambulance, ice cream truck and wind. So here we have all of the palettes swatched. I think now I'm gonna wait for it to dry so I can show you better. I can already see that the raw umber still maintained a bit of the texture, which is nice. Even though, take it with a grain of salt, because this paper is not the best for granulating watercolors. It doesn't encourage a lot of texture on the paints, but we will carry on. So now I am going to take some time off camera to do my mixing color swatch, because it's gonna take a very long time. And then I will be back to show you some of the results. See you soon. So the sun is setting and I have a little bit of daylight left to show you the dry swatches of the Hazel Soan palette with Schmincke Horadam. Remembering that I inverted these two here. And here you have the names of the colors. And my color chart, this is barely dry. There's still some drying over here, but I didn't want to wait too long risking that it was too dark to keep filming. So as you can see here, it's a very versatile palette. You have 3 yellows if you count the ochre as a yellow as well, and you have 3 reds, 3 blues, purple, and I'd say 3, even though this can be used as a yellow also, 3 earth tones. And yeah, I like the palette. I think the color mixes can cover pretty much all of your needs. I maybe would have liked, instead of having maybe the alizarin crimson, because we already have the PV19 that is a pretty good coverall for all mixes using a cool red. Maybe I would have liked to have either a neutral tint or maybe a cool brown, dark brown. But yeah, overall I think it's a very good set. I would indicate even for beginners, because it has, like I said, a primary trio, so you can do a lot of color mixing to get different tones. As I told you, with the Cobalt Azure you get all of these mixes with granulation because of the PB35, so you see the granulation coming through here in the yellow, because in the mix on this side I use more yellow and on this side I use more blue, so you can see more granulation here than here. But yeah, you can see that the granulation comes through in every mix in a lesser or bigger degree, and can have some interesting effects like this. I think it's good to show, for example, patina or rust, you know, or if you want some natural tones. Like something I wanted to mention also, even the PB29 is called Ultramarine Finest. You still have granulation, as you can see in the mix over here. You see that the granulation comes through sometimes. Here with the alizarin crimson you can see well, and in this mix over here with the Aureolin Hue. So even though it is not as granulating as other ultramarines, you still have some degree of granulation, and you can make some beautiful neutral tones with this. So you can see here, mixing with yellow ochre and raw umber, it gives you this greenish type of gray, which I find very nice, very interesting. I would use that to paint metal, for example. I think it would give some nice effects, maybe some robots. I don't know, that's what comes to mind right now. But you can get some pretty vibrant hues also, like the Prussian blue with the Aureolin Hue can give you a nice lime green type of color. What else? As I had said, the yellow and purple can also give an interesting mix. I have here the violet, and here you can give like a greenish brown with the Aureolin Hue, and I have here with more yellow you get this type of mustard green type of color. So you can do a lot of experimentation with this set, and I think apart from the possibilities, you can also add an extra half pen over here. I just squeezed mine a bit to the left, so you could have space for another one, which I may use to add, like I said, either a neutral tint or some dark brown, maybe even a cobalt turquoise. I don't know, still have to think about it. But yeah, I love the set. The box is very compact, which is great. It takes very little space at the desk, and I hope you liked it too. Let me know in the comments what you think, if you had already seen this palette before, if you would like to purchase it, and I hope to see you here soon. I have some great videos coming up. I have my new collaboration palette with Deep Light, which will be coming soon. I'll be also probably sharing a few more books that inspire me, in connection to these palettes that I'll be releasing. So I hope to see you here soon.